Hey everybody, it is November 12th, 2008. I'm Sonic Suns. We're slightly more serious issue now. I did a video a while ago about my thoughts on religion. And I guess you could say this is in the theme of it. It's all the will of God. So they say. Not the exact phrasing, actually, but this is one weird idea I've found, obviously among religious people. Though I suppose, we found in various forms. I happen to know more Christians than anything else, and sometimes in this, or in media, or in whatever, you encounter the idea, not necessarily explicitly stated, that absolutely everything that happens is the will of God. Always. Except, not always. Just when we sort of feel like saying it. Sort of thing. It'll happen when, some perfectly nice person, gets hit by a car and dies, And, someone will say, well, the Lord works in mysterious ways. He, wanted to take, Bob Smith or whatever up into heaven or something. Nevertheless, if someone hits someone else with a car on purpose, that's not the will of God. But if he just gets an accident, some people will say, act as though it is. Thing. Now, there's all sorts of things already in the aforementioned video about messiness of trying to figure out the whole God thing and the various religions and such. But even, presuming some of the rather popular concepts, even between different religions, we have, a God who's omniscient and omnibenevolent, loves everybody and such. You can pretty be sure that the person talking about God's will is working on those concepts. I don't know if there's very many people that work on the, wow, God really hates you concept. Or just God, just screws around at random concept. Nah, it's not very popular. So, the person thinks that God is all-loving and such, and yet God, strikes people with lightning here and there for some sort of reason? This is this is ridiculous. Clearly, bad things happen in the world, and, well, God is not bad. God cannot cause the bad things to happen. Certainly not directly. Maybe you can make a case of God created free will and people did stuff and then bad things happened eventually, but it wasn't like God wanted them to or something like that. I think the fallacy lies in the idea of assigning blame, you see. If someone takes a gun and you shoot somebody in the head, hardly anyone says that was the will of God, unless, of course, you're, trying to argue that, I don't know, some sort of justified killing or something. But if it's an innocent person that got killed, you're not going to say, oh, well, God wanted that innocent person to get shot by the murderer. No, you say the murderer has committed a terrible sin. And we got to do something about that or whatever, right? But if that person gets struck by lightning, right, there's no one to point this finger at. And so I think people, at a loss for trying to explain whose fault it is, decide it must be a higher power. And they attribute it to God, which is weird, because you'd think you'd want to attribute that to the devil, right? Wouldn't you say Satan struck that person with lightning? I think that makes so much more sense. That seems to be more rare, though. Generally people say God did it. If they say that. Not everyone says that. And I think, it's sin which causes evil things. I think that's a much better way of thinking of this. Again, the whole concept is messy in the first place. People sin, I'd say. This causes bad things to happen. Well, whose sin caused the lightning bolt? Well, there was the guy who went out in the middle of a storm or whatever, if that was a storm. There was, I don't know, the weatherman who didn't properly tell people to be safe. There's that guy that got struck. Practically everyone he ever knew at some point could have said something about don't get hit by lightning bolts, be safe, for whatever reason he was out there, a person tangentially involved with this, if you know, whoever let him go, or encouraged him to go, or and it's all very, 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 very vague. But eventually, we all have an impact on basically everything. I mean, it's rather hard to influence, like, the orbit of Pluto or whatever, but technically you're doing it, even when you, like, wave your own hand, you know? The gravity waves go out, blah, blah, blah. If you're gonna deal with some evil thing which has happened, understand what human activities have led to this, right? What's sins, you would put it as. Just saying that God did it and he must have had a reason for it doesn't make sense when it's a rather explicitly bad thing which has happened. Right? I don't see how people come up with this misconception in the first place. Maybe it could be comforting or something to think, oh, well, there must have been a reason or something like that. But you don't have to deny the existence of God to deny that God is, like, what, hitting people with lightning bolts or something. You know, you just gotta be, well, a little wiser and look a little more at the big picture of what wrongful choices led to whatever bad thing has happened. And that's the way I look at it. You know? Yeah. Thanks for watching. See you later.